Mary Magdalene was always in news for wrong reasons, many a times. One is the famous novel that came a decade back, and the movie Da Vinci Code, which puts Mary Magdalene almost like a mistress of Jesus, based on the Last Supper scene of Da Vinci, which was misinterpreted and misquoted by the Dan Brown, the author of the novel. And similarly, Nikos Kazantzakis' novel, The Last Temptation of Christ, which later became a movie, also depicts Mary Magdalene something like this. Mary Magdalene, always considered adulterous woman, mistress of Jesus in many of these writings or even poetry. I still remember when I was young, I had to study one of the poems in Malayalam written by a Hindu, very famous poet, Mahakavi, great poet, Vallathol, Magdalene Mariam. That was the title of the poem, and we had to study that in school. And there she is portrayed as an adulterous woman. So this was understanding even the church had. Adulterous woman, sister of Martha and Lazarus, one who washed the feet of Jesus, Mary, in the house of Simeon. So people did not know exactly the identity. Now with the Pope Paul VI and Pope Francis, things are clearer now. This Mary is not the sister of Martha and Lazarus, or the other Mary is mentioned. This Mary is very specific, Mary of Magdala, a rich woman probably, and one who really followed and witnessed Jesus, his resurrection, first one to witness the resurrection, and during the passion, death, one who really walked with Jesus. Now let us try to understand this apostle, whom we call as apostle of apostles, the woman apostle, apostle of the apostles. Something to learn for all of us, some traits of Mary Magdalene. The first trait that all of us I admire is her loyalty. Loyalty to Jesus. She was very loyal, very faithful, very loyal apostle. When other apostles were not that loyal, when their master needed his presence, Mary Magdalene was there. When Jesus was in agony, they were sleeping. When he was arrested, they all ran away. One ran away without clothes also. But Mary Magdalene was there. Very daring woman. Her loyalty was unmeasured. And she was there during the entire passion, even death. She witnessed the death along with the Mother Mary. And Saint John, one apostle, was there. And even post-resurrection, one who really witnessed, the first one to witness the resurrection of Jesus. All the Gospels say Mary Magdalene was there even in the post-resurrection appearance. So she was very loyal person. Her loyalty is something that we need to admire. Especially loyalty in times of troubles. We are all faithful people. We are very faithful. Our faith is very strong in good times. But faith may not be that strong in bad times. So Mary Magdalene teaches a lesson to be very loyal in our faith. Her loyalty. Second thing that we all could admire and imitate is her familiarity with Jesus. What is this familiarity? She loved Jesus, Jesus loved her, and they had a very close relationship to know each other and understand each other. And that is very clear from today's gospel, which goes like this. They addressed each other in a local language, Aramaic. So when Jesus addressed her Rabboni, Mary, she responds by saying Rabboni, because that's a language they communicated. She was very familiar with Jesus. So that familiarity teaches another lesson. How familiar are we with our God? How familiar are we with Jesus in our day-to-day life? So we have an apostle here. Other apostles probably not as familiar as Mary Magdalene was. If they were very familiar, close to Jesus, they would have been there at the passion and death. But Mary Magdalene was there. That shows her not only loyalty, familiarity, and closeness to Jesus. Third thing that we could all imitate is her visibility. What is this visibility? He was visible, others were invisible. In a way, yes, they all disappeared. She was there during the passion and death of the Lord. And she was the one really acknowledged and honored by other apostles in the post-resurrection, stage of the early church. She was the one who really spread the good news to the apostles. She was very visible during the passion and death of Jesus, not other apostles. Her deeds were very visible to the early church. So she was well honored and respected. Her deeds in the post-resurrection time. She was there at the tomb. She was the first one to witness the risen Lord, and she was there as a help to the disciples. So a visible presence of a disciple or apostle. We are all apostles, we are all disciples. How visible are we to the others? Our faith has to be visible. We cannot say, I have faith. We have to express our faith. Faith has to be expressed through our actions, charity, good deeds. And we see in Mary Magdalene visible expression of that love. And that is the visibility of apostleship. So Mary Magdalene teaches us, three things: loyalty, familiarity, and visibility. And finally, she says to the apostles, I have seen the Lord. That's how the gospel ends. I have seen the Lord. How many of us will be able to say that today? I have seen the Lord. We are seeing the Lord in the Mass every day. And we are much more privileged than Mary Magdalene. Mary Magdalene has seen the Lord. We see the Lord in the Mass. We touch the Lord in the Mass. We taste the Lord in the Mass. We are much more privileged than Mary Magdalene. Are we able to acknowledge and proclaim like the apostle of the apostles, Mary Magdalene, that each one of us are able to say, I have seen the Lord, I have tasted the Lord. Now in the pandemic we cannot taste, but at least we can see, we can come closer to the Lord, be more familiar and still loyal even in this pandemic. Let Mary Magdalene be our inspiration and inspiration for all of us.